two engines on the peace train. The same tracks are easier to travel when you have two engines on the train. If you're interested in peace, meditation can be a friend. Most of the time in this blog, I focus on the work of Byron Katie as a meditation practice. I discovered the work in 2006, and I fell in love with it right away. Its ability to shift my experience of a situation from stress to peace is amazing. But in 2006, when I started this practice of the work of Byron Katie, I was not new to meditation. In fact, I had been practicing transcendental meditation, or TM, since 1976. And I learned when I was 6 years old. So today, what I'd like to do is share a little bit more about this other practice of meditation that I've been enjoying for many decades. And this is what I'm calling the second engine on my peace train. Like the work, TM is a simple, elegant practice. When I learned TM, I learned the children's technique at age 6, which is done with the eyes open, walking around. And when I got older, I began practicing it 20 minutes a day, sitting comfortably with my eyes closed. And then for the past 30 years, I've practiced the advanced TM City program for about an hour and a half twice a day. And there have been times in my life when I was doing more than that. Sometimes it has varied a little bit, but it's always been a big part of my day. During the practice of transcendental meditation, what happens is my mind starts to settle down. It's a relaxing technique, and my body, in that relaxed state, tends to experience a profound level of rest. Everything starts to become quieter, and what happens is the deep-rooted stresses in the body and in the physiology start to loosen and get released. And then when I come out of meditation, my mind is often much clearer, and I feel more energetic and creative, and my emotions feel much lighter. It's a very expansive feeling. I feel like my heart expands when I do this practice. So this experience of peace from the meditation supports me for many hours afterwards. And it seems to be a cumulative thing over the years. So when I look back at my high school and college days, I find that those years were not so emotionally challenging for me. Certainly I had challenges, but I always felt like I had an even keel. And I attribute this to the daily practice of TM. I felt emotionally good inside most of the time because of my meditation. And when stress did build up, I was able to dissipate it pretty quickly as I continued my regular practice. I also never felt any desire to drink alcohol. In fact, I've never had more than a sip of alcohol in my life. Yet I had as much fun, or more so, than my friends, and I was always the designated driver, and I didn't have a problem with people drinking. I just wasn't interested. And I also connect that somehow with this practice of TM that I was doing. I felt good inside, and I didn't want to color that or change that in any way by drinking alcohol. So that was kind of a little side benefit of this practice for me. So then in my 20s, I became a part of the TM organization, and I studied and practiced TM in larger groups, sometimes up to 1,600 people at a time. And that was an amazing experience to be meditating. In fact, some temporary groups I was with were like 3,000 or 4,000 people at a time. And the experience when you're meditating with that many people, it's like your mind just really settles down. Your awareness expands in a way that is very powerful to experience. It's like my mind had no resistance to slipping into that inner quietness of meditation. And those large group meditations are some of the fondest memories of my life. So, during that time, I also went and and lived basically in an ashram for about 4 years and did long meditations and kind of thought that was the way my life was going to go for the long haul. So the next interesting phase here is learning to integrate my experience. If you know me, you may know that I tend to be a kind of all or nothing kind of guy. So when I focused on meditation in my 20s, that was pretty much all I focused on. And I still had a lot to learn about taking care of my health, my finances, my relationships, basically integrating with the world. What I got from meditation was an experience of self-sufficiency. I could be happy with almost nothing because I was learning to access a kind of inner fulfillment. But at the same time as that inner fulfillment was growing, I wasn't exercising my worldly muscles as much, and they became a little weaker. So luckily, life has a way of balancing things. And when my grandmother needed support, I left the ashram and began work as a photographer. I also began my relationship with my current partner, and from him I learned about the work of Byron Katie. And the work has helped me integrate the piece of meditation into my daily life more fully. Just living helps me integrate, but then the work adds another special addition to my ability to integrate. So now I have two ways to come back home to myself. One is through my TM practice, and the other is through doing the work. Here, if you think about them, they're really just two different approaches for moving inward. TM provides a way to quiet the mind without dealing with the specifics of what are stressing me. I just close my eyes and settle inward and practice this simple meditation practice. I'm not focused on a stressful situation or trying to deal with any kind of stress. I'm just closing my eyes and doing the meditation. And then the work, on the other hand, allows me to deal with really specific stress points by questioning my thinking about a particular stress. And I compare both practices to bringing light to a darkened room. TM is like slowly turning the light up for the whole room. And as the light increases, then the shadows shrink and disappear. But until the light is fully bright, some shadows still remain. And the work, on the other hand, is like bringing light to one specific corner of the room that still remains in darkness. So I bring light to a specific point of confusion when I'm doing the work. And this causes, when I bring the light to that particular area, this light causes the shadow in that area to disappear. So it's a combination of like TM being more of a general approach and the work being a more specific approach. And I find that these are very complementary. So the results are the same: more peace, more clarity, more energy. I find that from doing the work. I find that from doing my transcendental meditation. They're very aligned. They're very similar in the results that they give, and they're very complementary in the approaches. By doing the work regularly, I bring less stress to my meditations and can settle into my meditation more easily. And by doing transcendental meditation regularly, I become accustomed to letting go and expanding into that inner world. And it makes diving into the work and exploring a stressful situation with an open mind much easier. So let's meditate. I invite you to join me by adding both engines to your peace train. They have both stood the test of time for me, and I'm grateful to have these two means of expanding peace in me. To learn transcendental meditation, go to tm.org, and to learn the work of Byron Katie, you may want to join one of my classes, like the Work 101 for in-depth training, or attend one of my virtual retreats, or attend one of the open sessions that I now offer. Okay, so let's end this with a quote from Byron Katie, the founder of the work of Byron Katie. And this is her book, 1,000 Names for Joy. I live in constant meditation, and if a thought should ever show up as anything less than goodness, I know that it would spill over to other people as confusion, and those other people are me. My job is to enlighten myself to that, and to love the spent rose, the sound of traffic, the litter on the ground, and the litterer who gives me my world.